Welcome back to Flying Dutchman Cards. This is episode 2 of the 1989 Topps Retrospective as we do a deep dive on my childhood favorite set. Today I'm joined by my brother Doug, and he is going to help us break down the design of 1989 Topps and give his impressions. If you missed the first episode, we talk about just our general impressions of the set and just some memories of collecting. And so if you want to check that out, the link will be in the description. So without any further ado, let's jump on in. Yeah, so let's jump in and just talk about like the base design, 89 Topps. What are your thoughts, Doug?
Couple things stand out to me. The one thing that I like about this set is that it just feels like a baseball set. And I think a lot of that has to do with the team name and then the player's name right underneath there. You have kind of a classic script for each team. It's kind of reminds you of like the Dodgers or the Yankees, any of the teams that have like a nice script across their jersey, even the Orioles. But so it just kind of fits and it feels like a baseball. And then you also just feels like baseball. And then you also have the ribbon underneath, which is also a very baseball thing. Like you really only see that in baseball as far as design. So you have that as an anchor for the design, which is really nice because you look at other sets from this time period and you've got a lot of different stuff going on, but this one just seems like very simple, clear baseball design for that element.
Yeah. It's very clean.
Very clean.
Yeah.
You also, with the ribbon, they did something nice where it's standard for everybody, but it also gives the designer enough real estate to put in people's names. So you could have a short name and a long name, and it still looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It uses a nice, sans serif font that's really easy to read. You go, I don't know if it's 90 or 91, Topps has like an Art Deco type look. Right. It's really hard to read.
Yeah.
The players' names is really hard to read, the team names, but this one just does a really nice job of, making it really legible. So especially when we were kids, it's really easy to read.
Right.
It's not overly complicated. So that's just kind of my general, that the team name and the player name, perfect. Like I feel like I really like that. Another thing that I really like is the border and the colors are matching the team colors. So many sets just had either they were all yellow or they were all red. Like there was a Donruss set that was all red with like paint splatters, which was okay. But this one, I feel like you were able to quickly also organize based on the team color,
mm-hmm.
because and the team all matched. Like there's sometimes where there'll be like a design aesthetic for the cards, but the teams won't match. And so it just seemed this has a nice cohesiveness. And so I really appreciate that the team colors all match, those types of things.
Well, and I feel like too, it was that thing when you're opening a pack, because as you're going through the cards, you would just, before you even knew who it was, you could see that color. Like if you're going for that Greg Jeffries or the Jose Canseco, you could see that color and just be like, oh, is it going to be, like that anticipation would build, which made it, just made it like that much cooler to like know, like I at least know what team it's going to be, and then like who's the player on there.
I think too, something that's simple but makes it really nice, especially looking back now too, is the white border.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just has a nice clean look to it. And so overall, you look at this, it's very simple, but it's also says baseball. It's, you know what I mean? It's really easy, recognizable. You have baseball script, you have a baseball swoosh underneath there, baseball colors, and then just the nice white line. And then also the curve on the top corner is just like another added, it kind of mimics the swoosh on the other side. So you have some symmetry there. It also almost, it reminds me kind of like a deck of playing cards or something where you might have like aesthetics in the corner that are kind of offsetting each other and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of the things I like about this. For the base cards, the one thing that I think is missing is the position.
Yeah.
It'd
Yep.
be
Yep.
nice to have the position on there somewhere.
Hmm.
I don't know where you could do that. If you know, it could have been just like a nice circle with the P or a 1B or a C. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be take up a lot of real estate, but I think that would add a little bit, just kind of round it out.
Hmm. Yeah.
But other than
I
that,
agree.
like I really like. I don't know if I could probably go through other sets I like, but I really like this aesthetic. Obviously,
Mhm.
we're doing a whole video on it. So,
Right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
what are
Well,
your thoughts? Anything that I'm left out, or anything that you enjoy about the design aesthetic?
yes. Yeah, I mean, I think too, just like having the border match, I mean, it's just like all the colors just kind of pull in together, which is really nice. I think the one thing that that's on other cards is the logo. I mean, like a lot of scorecards, like 91, 92, or no, I guess it's more 92. Like they add the logo, which is kind of a cool feature. But then too, they do some weird like drop shadows and makes it look kind of crummy. But I think they get the point across of what the team is by having the color combination, and it's like instantly recognizable. It's like, oh, this is a White Sox card. Like you don't
Yeah,
really need the logo, so I think it totally works on that level. Um, but yeah, and then too, it's interesting too, kind of as you look at these, like where the Topps logo moves, like they move it around to kind of the spot that makes the most sense, So
yeah,
like this, like the white on the dark background looks awesome, but then there it's like in the lower, it's in black, because it kind of fades
yeah.
away. So that yeah, so it makes it stand out, but not like, so it's a Topps card, and I've always liked. I feel like out of all the logos, there's this kind of the most classic, but it's also like, just instantly recognizable of like that, the italics, the lowercase t.
It's
And,
a
and
bit,
they had a
yeah.
couple of versions, over the years that kind of changed it up a little bit, but it's
It's
just
very
that.
much of the times, but
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think at a certain point too, you know 10 years out from this set, you might be like, oh, this seems dated. But now
Right.
with nostalgia, you're like, oh, I really enjoy this. It brings back
Right.
those memories, those types of things.
Yeah. 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 I think that's the biggest thing for me is the design is tied so much to the nostalgia that like I don't even know, like I could never say this is a bad set just because like this is the first one. You know what I mean? Like this, but even too, it's like it holds up to me well throughout the years, and it's cool seeing some of the newer Topps products. They like, they do throwbacks to this, and which is cool. And one of the other ones too, like 87 Topps with the wood background, is a lot of people's favorites, which I think is cool. But like I think there's not as much variety. I think to me the colors of the teams, it's like this card and this card, feel the same, or like look the same, but they feel very different. You know what I mean? It's like you instantly know that that's the Phillies card based off of those, the baby blue and the maroon. So
I like what you said about, they don't have the actual team logo on it, but
mhm.
because of the colors, it ties it in. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
one of Ken Williams, you had the nice red border, and then there's a red on his bib, on his
Yeah.
bill, the red on his bill, and it just kind of ties it together. So it
Hmm.
looks. I feel like this looks a lot better than if they had chosen to do like yellow and turquoise and
Right.
black, like scores color scheme at sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then you also, because you also, a lot of photos, you're getting the team branding anyway. I mean, you got
Right.
it on the hat, you got it on the jersey at times. You
You're
even
right.
get the starter logo on this one, bonus.
Nice. Yes. Right there in the middle. That's awesome.
So
We
yeah, I
should.
think I really, even the having the black line, separating the color, and the photo,
Hmm.
that just kind of also is probably, it was probably a tool to keep, colors kind of separated to make that color border really pop against any type of photo that you're doing. Because when you think about this, how many cards are in the set, or how many standard cards are there?
675.
So you've got to come up with a design that's going to work across a lot of different photos, a lot of
Right.
different team names, a lot of person names and stuff like that. So I feel like the designer did a really good job meeting all those challenges. Design is trying to overcome like challenges or difficulties, you know what I mean?
Right.
So how do you account for all the 600 plus photos? How many teams do they have at this time? 30?
26.
20. I need just to always rely on your baseball knowledge.
This, how many? Yeah.
So out of all the active players during this time, who had the longest name? Who had the shortest name?
Probably Terry Mulholland just happens to be right here, but
what's the guy from the Dodgers
name.
though? Venezuela. No.
Oh, Fernando Valenzuela?
Yeah. That's probably the most. Ron Gant might be the shortest.
Right. Yeah. But it all works. Like you can still, it always fits in. And
I'd be interested to. It's easy to do this. Do these things digitally now, like having the type go on a curve like that. But I'd be interested to learn how they would go about that, because Ron Gant, if you look at it, the font is thicker. It's like more of a bold font, so it takes up more real estate. And then obviously Terry Mulholland, it's smaller, more condensed.
Right.
I don't know, if they had like 5 different variations that they try to fit in there, because they're doing this by hand, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's 88, 89.
Right. So. Yeah. It's always crazy the things that are like seem so easy now in digitally, and then to be like, wait, they actually had to do that. It's like I don't even understand like the concept of how you do this. Digitally.
Like you can see there, like the
It's
the R and the D are really stretched out compared to another font.
Right. Yeah. Just the D. I mean, both of these names end with D, so that the D there and the D there, they're definitely different. So very cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think, and then I think as we transition to the other like subsets of these cards, a lot of the things that I think work well is that they kind of expand on this or add an element to it. And then the ones that I don't feel like work as well is they kind of lose what makes this design really nice.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Well, let's take a look at the backs real quick, just while we have a chance. So we'll take a look at those. Yeah. So I feel like too, the backs of these cards are very kind of classic in my mind as well, because I think a lot of times just the colors, like the choice of the red and the black. But yeah, just like flipping through, like even if you're looking at these cards in a stack of cards, you can very easily pick out 89 Topps. But what are your thoughts, bro? Just kind of about just the look at the back of the cards.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously they're trying to save money on the back. So instead of using 4 colors, you're using 2 colors. Like they're using black and then red, and then they're using like half opacity red for kind of the pink parts of it. I like how they carried over the rounded corners from the front, so it kind of gives it like a cohesive look, a standard kind of look. And also I feel like this set does a really good job making it readable. Some sets, especially with Topps, sometimes it'll be like a green, or it's just not very legible. Like you can't really read it very well. So the sans serif font that they have on here, I imagine, is probably similar to what they're using for the players' names on the front. So it does a good job making it readable. I like how it has kind of you've got the 2 baseballs that correspond, which are nice. And then you have the top section, and then the nice black bar through the middle, not through the middle, but like that top part that's got the complete Major League batting record. That's also just a nice kind of break. So separating your information so you can see their name, their kind of their stats about, height, weight, what they bat, where they're from, that kind of stuff. Then you've got a nice break and then all the stats down there, and finishing with some type of kooky, fun stat at the bottom, just
Mm-hmm.
depending on how many stats you have. So if you had a lot of stats, you're going to just have something small like Eddie Murray has here. If you don't have a lot of stats, then you're going to have like a little paragraph about why you don't have any stats and hey, you just got drafted out of high school or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I don't like is the serif font for their name. I feel like you could have probably kept it the same as the front of the cards, but that's just kind of nitpicky. I think if you had kept it the same font, it might have just tied it in a little bit better. But it's just kind of odd to throw in a third kind of font on the back.
Right.
Like even here, like if you scroll back, go back to it's like the line is kind of unnecessary underneath it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just my utilitarianism, but I feel like it'd look nicer if it was just like, you didn't have the large uppercase first letter. It was all like a sans serif font.
Right. Yeah. And the one thing with, I mean, the positions here, but like that's typically not the way you would read first base. You know what I mean? Like I would think 1B, you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit harder you have to read it all out. But yeah.
And I know Topps wants to brand their cards, but it'd be nice. You could put it in where the Topps is and it'd be perfect. You have the number of the card and then 1B or C or that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting too, is because this is definitely the phase where the other sets are trying to kind of break off from Topps. And so you're getting Score and Upper Deck that are having photos on the back and stuff like this. So I feel like this is probably one of the last times we're getting this real nice, just classic kind of look.
Right.
Where I don't mind like Upper Decks they're beautiful on the back because it's like, oh, why didn't they have pictures on the back the whole time? Other than they're trying to save money. But as far as like baseball card backs, this is kind of a classic look. And then as the years go on, you're going to obviously lose this to other things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the trade-off with Upper Deck. You get an extra picture on the back, but you get 3 seasons of stats, where Eddie Murray, we can see his whole career, which is kind of the part I feel like a lot of people growing up, it's like, that's how you learn about baseball, is you're going back and seeing his, awesome, whichever year it was, 81 where he led the league, or in 84, when he tore it up kind of thing. So,
or even seeing a player's history of like what team they were on, that thing. Those things are interesting, especially if you're a youngster like we were. You didn't know all these things, and this is also pre-internet, so you couldn't just like pull up baseballreference.com and find out all the stats and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
I like and then this scoreboard too. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. That's I just brought up this example so we could just take a look at the monthly scoreboard, because it's one of those things that, like, as baseball stats have progressed in all kinds of crazy directions, the monthly splits aren't typically that useful, but it is really interesting to see when someone has an amazing first half, they're an all-star, and then they hit 220 in the second half and they have a terrible season, or the other way where someone's terrible in the first half and then they actually end up with really good stats, and you're like, how are they not an all-star that year? And it's like, oh, because it was all in the second half. So it is an interesting thing, even though it's kind of probably fallen out of favor a little bit. But too, in this example, when it's like, he didn't play that much, so it's like it's not really all that interesting.
His 1 RBI in July was really helping the team.
Right. It's like, remember that one time? Yeah.
So if you see the 1988 monthly scoreboard font, I feel like that would be a really nice font for the team, the player's name, instead of
up at the top,
up there, because it's a condensed font. So you'd be able to fit longer names.
Right.
But But
Yeah, that makes sense.
obviously, we're just kind of nitpicking, but
Right.
those are our thoughts. Let's
Yes,
take a look.
that's awesome.
Let's take a look at some of the other cards in this set.
All right, that wraps up our breakdown of the design of 1989 Topps. Next up, we're going to dive into the subsets, starting with record breakers and team leaders. So you want to make sure to check that out. Yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.